order, so beginning with the Elijah story, the First Kings, and then this lovely line that Victor has penned, put to music so lovely, that mercy and truth are meant to stay, virtue and peace have kissed. The idea that the promise of peace comes to us when we turn our hearts toward God. Romans, the idea that there's no dividing wall, there's no separation any longer, but no distinction, but everyone calls the name of the Lord. And then finally, the gospel. I think the theme is when storms surround us, when we are distracted and led to despair, then Christ calls out to us. And it's the idea of fixing your eyes on Jesus that gets us through those times. So I think that's the gist of it. I think I want to say something. I did the last two services about Charlotte. I don't think that can go without some commentary. How do people of faith respond to such things? It's become far too commonplace. Anyway, those are the ideas. So let's open ourselves up to God and move some in prayer that God might speak to us all. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, I think most of you know that I celebrated my 61st birthday on Monday. Now, I know for some of you in the room, I'm still an adolescent. Just saying, you know who you are. So. Anyway, so I was at the gym the other day, and now they've started a silver sneaker class. I'm not going for that yet. I'm still in the boot camp. But anyway, I love the sign they have on the wall. That's kind of the perceived exertion scale or whatever. So when you start off, it's green. It says, I'm feeling good. I can do this. Then you get to the blue, and it's, oh, I'm beginning to sweat, but I'm having a good exercise. The yellow, and the next stage is, this is really hard. And you get down to the red, I can't breathe, I must stop immediately. I think the one that comes after that is call 911. So, it seems to me that both Elijah and Peter go through that process, right, where they're confident to begin with, and then they lose that confidence and they have to get out of the situation immediately. There's a lot of backstory to Elijah, but let me take you through it. So what's happened just prior to this is there was a competition. It was between the prophets of Baal and Elijah. And it was all about burning up a sacrifice. And Elijah put the challenge to them. He said, you try and burn up your sacrifice, have Baal start on fire, and I'll have Yahweh start mine on fire. You go first. And so the prophets of Baal called down the prophet on Baal. They cut themselves. They rolled on the ground. They did all the rituals. Nothing happened. And then Elijah said, it's my turn. He took water and he doused his offering with water. And then he dug a ditch and he filled the ditch with water. And he looked up to the heavens and called down fire to consume the sacrifice as well as the prophets of Baal. So why is he so afraid? If he can call down fire from heaven, why is he so afraid of Queen Jezebel, who's out to get him? He runs away. In the next scene, he finds himself under a tree, almost like that scene with Jonah looking down on Nineveh. And he's so desperate, he says to the Lord, listen, they've killed all the other prophets. I'm the only one left. Just let me die here. And God won't have that. He gives Elijah food, tells him to get up and eat, take care of yourself. Elijah runs off again. He finds himself now in this cave. And God comes to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? I've been very zealous for you, Lord. They've killed everybody else. They're coming to get me. He's terrified. So then God does a display of power. The mountains shake, the lightning crashes down, the thunder rolls, and then there's silence. God's not found in the big demonstrations of power and might and majesty. No, God is found in that still, small silence. That's the way it is with us, I think. When we're distracted by things around us, when storms swirl, when we don't know which way to turn, it requires us just to sit down, take a breath, be still before the Lord. Be still and know that I am God. This is what it says in Psalm 46. In the stillness, God encourages the heart of Elijah and gives him his marching orders. It's a beautiful Psalm 85 about peace coming to people. Every morning when I get up, I always go to Starbucks. I get up early. I usually run through my news feed, especially interested in what happened in history on this day. And then I look at what else is happening. I probably shouldn't do it on a Sunday morning. So anyway, I was looking at the scenes. First of all, let's just say there's no place for white supremacy anywhere ever. And lives of the people of faith. That's simply not something that's acceptable. And you can't invoke Nazism as a positive. It denigrates all of the men and women who died fighting that scourge. People in this congregation, I can name them off for you, almost all of them passed away. They fought against that. But here's what troubled me, not just that, marching, but then to look at the opposing side, the hatred that they displayed, the violence that they did. Now, this is nothing new. I mean, I was in Chicago in 1968, Oak Park, Illinois, 10 miles from downtown. Walked out my back door, could see the fires from my house. You remember Detroit? You remember Watts? We could go back farther and farther and farther. This is the way of the human being. Sinful creatures all, prone to violence, hatred, holding others in disregard. But it is not so with people of faith who follow the Prince of Peace. We hear the promise of peace when our hearts turn to God. And then mercy and truth come together. Righteousness, peace, kiss. The way of peace is always the more difficult road. The way of the moderate is only the lonely place, trying to hold both sides at bay. But it is the way of faith to be people of peace. They crucified the Lord of love. The way of love is always the more difficult way. I love this passage from Romans, especially for the radical nature that there is no distinction between Jew or Gentile. Oh, really, Paul? What about that dividing wall of hostility that says if a Gentile enters the courts of the Jews, they'll be put to death immediately? There was a lot of distinction between Jews who kept kosher and looked different and Gentiles, and they hated each other. So the one who brings good news to those two groups is beautiful. This is just a side note, but I want to have fun with my good friend and our dear member who I love to death, Nancy Rouse. So she doesn't let Pastor Kyle wear sandals, but apparently I can get away with it. No, she doesn't like it. So she's coming down the hall this morning at 8, and I get behind and Kyle, hide my feet, hide my feet. And she looks, I've seen your naked feet, Pastor Phil. Well, how beautiful are the feet to the one who proclaims good news. So I was at Kyrie last week, and we had a brand new bartender. Her name's Rebecca. Whenever we have a new bartender, I always get up and I go talk to them and say, this is what we're doing, and if you want us to bring communion to you, some of the other bartenders take communion, we'd be happy to bring communion up to you. And she looked at me and she says, well, what's that? I go, you know, Holy Communion. And she goes, no, I don't know what Holy Communion is. Oh, well, let me tell you about it. So then I did like a 10-minute confirmation. Don't get any ideas, young people. I started talking about what we think as Lutherans is that in the bread we find the body of Christ, in the wine we find the blood of Christ that's sacrificed for us. But more than that, there's a mystical union that happens with a truth and a beauty and a love and a peace that's beyond our knowing. And this gives us something of the earth that we can touch and taste, and trust, and more than that, that connects us with something our hearts long for, a place of perfection and of peace. A vast multitude is gathered together, too great to count, of every tribe, of every nation, of every language, of every tongue. They sit down and they dine together. God swallows up death. When we take part in this meal, we anticipate that day. She was looking at me more and more intently through that. And when I finally finished, she said, I want that. Can I have that? Of course you can. There is no distinction. God has come for all. Everybody longs for peace. Everyone longs for that place of perfection. The joy is unending. The beauty is beyond imagination. I find it interesting that Jesus says to Peter that he has a little faith. I think it takes a lot of faith to to step out of a boat in the middle of the sea. Now, the Sea of Galilee is the Lake Erie of the Middle East. It's only about 200 feet deep. It's got these two big pressure systems on either side. Storms can come up immediately, and they're very dangerous. And these men are in an open boat. They're being swamped, and it's up and down. You know all the stories about when Jesus was sitting in the boat, but this is the second one, where he's on the water. But they're still in danger, struggling against the wind. They see what appears to be a ghost. Instead of trying to get away, they cry out in fear, but Peter says, "Lord, it's you," because Jesus has identified himself. "Tell me to get out of the boat." And so he does. And as long as he keeps his eyes on Jesus, he's fine. When he takes his eyes off Jesus, then the storm looms larger. The waves are bigger. And terrified, he begins to sink. I'm always excited to get a new intern and start the process all over again. One of the things I do in our very first sessions is try to get down to the basics. I ask them questions, and I'm always looking at what's the why behind that answer? How did you arrive at that conclusion? How do we get to this point? And they're very good at this, and they've been trained well for 2 years. Lots of good seminary answers, and all kinds of complicated things. I just keep looking at them, that's good. I think it's simpler than that. They just keep going, and then after a while they look at me like, "Okay, I don't know what you want." And I say, "It's the Sunday school answer." And then a light dawns on me. "Oh, you mean Jesus?" Why Jesus? Because he died. Why? Oh, and he rose. And then we get to the basics. So because Kyle was a math major, he put that sign on his door, 2 + 2 = Jesus. 2 + 2 = Jesus. When Peter cries out, then Jesus reaches out his hand. And even if he admonishes him lightly, "Oh, you have little faith," he still acknowledges that he got out of the boat. In a sense, saying to him, "Just keep your eyes on me." A world full of hatred, Jesus is love. A world full of violence, Jesus is our peace. A world full of sorrow, Jesus is our joy. The truth is, even if we are sinking in our sorrow and our despair, Jesus will not let us drown. But he'll reach him with his hand and say, "Keep your eyes on me."